Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Triguna-rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namam. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha, Upsham Prakarana, Section 58. Arjuna attains enlightenment. The context is Sage Vasistha was presenting to Arjuna, rather to Sri Rama. Sage Vasistha gave the essence of Gita teachings to Sri Rama, as if he was telling a future prediction. And I have already explained to you that wisdom is the same, past, present, and future. So, 100 years later, same teachings of the Gita and Yoga Vasistha will be repeated. 1,000 years later, same. Arjuna said, O invincible divinity, by your grace, all my doubts have dissolved. The veil of ignorance has been destroyed. I abide in my essential nature. I am ready to carry out your behests. Means your orders. You have to follow now simple, subtle points. All my doubts have dissolved. Human mind in a limited state is always overcome by doubts. But when we talk of doubt, there are three stages. Sanshaya Bhavana, Asambhavana, Viparita Bhavana. When your doubt is in the kindergarten, then that doubt is called Vividha. There is always two possibilities for your resolution to your problem. Follow this path, follow that path. And then you are unable to decide which one to follow. One thing is not possible, you can let your feet go in two directions. That's not possible. So, what's possible, you can follow one path, having followed and suddenly you realize, oh, you're not getting success. Come back, follow the other path. Now, having followed, again, you find little bigger challenges. Well, previous path was better. So come back. That's the illustration of Sanshaya, doubting state of mind. And that dominates the mind of the masses. How you thought your life would be yesterday, today it has changed. and figure it out many times in the past. Day by day, changes go on, occur this way, that way, this way, that way. If you are a spiritual aspirant, in spite of all this, you continue to progress. But let me first give you the idea of doubt. So this is the first stage of doubt, of Sanshaya Bhavana. Second, this experience of constant frustration in resolving your problem creates at the mind a sense of impossibility. So you settle in your mind with an evaluation. This task is impossible. God realization, well, it may be truth for those who are enlightened, but not for me, because I know where I am. I know how many bad karmas I have created. Asambhavana, a sense of impossibility. And then the third one is called Viparita Bhavana. In third stage, you don't even know what is the goal you are going after. The mind has no idea where to look for. The illustration I always give is, think of seeing your face in a mirror. First point, your face is with you. Why to look for elsewhere? Second point, when someone asks, what are you doing? You say, I'm seeing my face. But you are not seeing your face. You are seeing the mirror. What is before your eyes? Your mirror. Face comes after. When you look into the mirror and what reflects in it. But first you are seeing the mirror. But your mind doesn't catch it. That's called Viparita Bhavana. First, you are dealing with awareness, consciousness. You are conscious. That consciousness is your essential nature. You cannot be without awareness. But now your awareness gets restricted. You are aware of reflection. And you are giving importance to reflection and not to the awareness. You are giving importance to the reflected sun, not to the sun. This type of vision is called Viparita Bhavana. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. These are the counter remedies for these three defects. Sanshaya Bhavana is corrected by Shravana, listening. Listening itself is an art. When you listen, at that time, your mind should not be filled with the voices of your ego. Silence the ego. Open your heart. So even for listening, you require qualities of an aspirant. How to be a good aspirant. That I'm not going to details. But to be an aspirant, we have to have certain degree of vairagya, dispassion. You have to have viveka, discrimination. You have to have serenity, shauch, purity of mind. You have to have control of senses. And ultimately you have to have aspiration. So all those points are implied. For removing asambhavana, what's needed is manana. Manana is reflection. In Raj Yoga terminology, it is practice of concentration and meditation. But when we say concentration and meditation, it presents a level that can be a kindergarten stage. In other words, practice of concentration and meditation, when it is in enhancing your thinking power, then your concentration and meditation are effective. So that type of concentration meditation that enhances the power of your understanding, that's called manana in a profound way. In a very simple way, it's like chewing the cud. Shavana, you listen to lots of things and you hold it in your mind. Manana, you bring it out from where you have held it and start chewing the cud. Learn from the cows. So when you are walking, doing various things, bring out. Sometimes your mind is not involved in your action. Your mind works in its own way. So allow your mind to do manana. How is the world called illusion? Why didn't I know it before? And so forth. And you follow the arguments given by sages and your own inspiration, and thereby go on assimilating the teachings. They're like pearls of wisdom, and allow to understand your mind to understand each pearl and its speciality behind different statements given by scriptures. Purnamadaha Purnamidam, that's full, this is full. Know ye not here the Blessed One. And Viparita Bhavana is corrected by Nididhyasan. Nididhyasan is a state of intense inquiry. We use the term inquiry, but it is not verbal effort. You don't ask in your mind questions by creating various sentences, verbal sentences, but it is a deep movement of understanding who am I, what is the truth, what is dharma. The climax of this movement is focused on who am I, the I term, and following along the great Mahavakyas, great utterances. So all this is called Shavana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana corrects Viparita Bhavana, and thereby one attains liberation, moksha. Bhagavan Krishna said, O Arjuna, when the thought waves of the mind are rendered quiescent by destroying the vasanas, the chitta itself becomes Brahman. Understand, with the illustration of the cinema show, the show is constant projections created by your chitta, your mind stuff. An entire show is enlivened, is vitalized by screen. Screen is pure awareness. That pure awareness is Brahman. But projections have created an illusion in your pure awareness. Pure awareness is Chit. And when Chit is grabbed by illusion, then called Chitta. Mind stuff is Chitta. Its projections are the basis of all your experiences in the world. Experiences that are positive as well as that are negative. The whole process of bondage and release are worked out through your chitta, through the vrittis of your mind. But while mind goes on doing all this, the reality behind your mind, when the vrittis are completely effaced, what is left is pure chit, pure absolute awareness. That absolute awareness is Brahman, that's your essential nature. In other words, Brahman is what you are. In the early stage, mind has tremendous problem of how to be drawn to God. Where is God? And mind goes on developing the illusion that God is at far distance. Even when you study the scriptures, you go on picturing about Goloka, Vaikuntha Loka, and Kshisagar, Lord Vishnu. And these are far, far away. How can you bring God closer to you or you closer to God? Come to next stage, you develop the idea, led by your faith, that you will find God in temples, in satsangs, in various sacred spots. And people go after and they are perfectly benefited. Nothing is wrong about it. But try to understand the highest level, that God that you have been working for with so much effort is in your every breath. That God is the reality in your whole personality. He is the reality behind the earth element, the water element, the fire element. All these elements have gone to create your body. You are never separated from your breath. You are never separated from your heart. Put it in a very simple way, God abides in your heart. And your own personality is temple of temples. Devo Devalayo Prokto. So, that becomes your revelation. That I am Brahman, the absolute God. And that God alone is real. Nothing else exists. All jivas, all souls are like reflected suns. God is the sun. All reflected suns are essentially the absolute sun. And that's called realization of the self. That implies when we say, having known Brahman, one becomes Brahman. This supreme state of liberation cannot be seen or known by the ignorant. Just as it is impossible to find footprints of birds in the air, so too it is impossible to see this subtle spiritual process leading to self-realization. The point is being brought to you is your mind will always try to have a picture of us moving towards God realization. And each move, and the process is always brought into your mind in a pictorial manner, like a picture, as if there are steps to be taken, as if you have to put on a ladder and you have to climb the steps. The reality, all this can help you if you understand they are allegorical. In reality, these steps don't exist. You can't see the marks. When the birds fly, you can't see their footprints. Similarly, there are no footprints of your spiritual progress. But better than footprints, your own experience authenticates your progress. And you go on discovering what is the reality. The supreme state of liberation cannot be seen or known by the ignorant. Just as it is impossible to find footprints of birds in the air, so too it is impossible to see the subtler spiritual process leading to self-realization. One's eyes are unable to see the subtle atoms. In the same way, a person's senses and mind are unable to perceive the supremely subtle self. With the rising of a volcanic eruption, the snow melts from the summit of the mountains. In the same way, with the development of wisdom, ignorance vanishes. These are all allegorical way of describing. When vasanas have gathered, klishta vasanas, it's like mountain covered with snow. And when you attain enlightenment, it is all the klishta vasanas are destroyed by the fire of knowledge, as if the sun brings about explosion on the snowy mountain. Good news. You are volcanic mountains. Your personality is a mountain, volcanic. By practice of integral yoga, and when practice climaxes with jnana, wisdom, there takes place volcanic eruption. Brings about vasana kshaya. All the vasanas are burnt up. And then that strength that was inherent in the volcanic mountain, that means presence of God, the presence explodes. When the all-devouring wind of Brahman begins to blow, this is another illustration of all-devouring wind. It's a real hurricane. then dust particles of vasanas are driven to their extinction. All the vasanas become like little dust particles to be blown away by the wind of Brahman, wind of Brahma Vichar. As long as the self is not known, so long avidya or ignorance continues to assume the diverse names and forms, sustaining the illusion of the world process. Knowing the self, you become the self. Knowing Brahman, you become Brahman. Brahmavid Brahmaiva bhavati. One who knows Brahman has become Brahman. Every reflected sun, knowing I am the sun, becomes the sun. The becoming term again is allegorical. So already the sun, the revelation, I am Brahman. That's what we mean by becoming Brahman. The vision of the Supreme Self is all devouring and all effacing. By all term is relates to bhav pratyaya. All that you get by projections in a cinema show, all that vision is blown away by revelation of the self. When a screen reveals itself, when a screen asserts, look at me, then all that you have been seeing through the projections, the entire drama show that kept your mind entertained, blown away. Give a very simpler illustration. On your soft bed, you have gone into deep sleep, but now you enter into a dream world. And the dream world is as big as any world. In that world, you have past, present, and future. All that you see in your dream world. But when you begin to wake up, as if a wind blows and takes away all that you are experiencing in the dream world. Nothing left of your dream when you wake up. Brahma Gyan blows away all that you experience through your conditioned mind. And therefore, those who take sannyasa, they are initiated into the mantra. Bhu sannyastam maya. We renounce the physical plane, the practical realities. Bhuva sannyastam maya. We renounce realities you experience based on your emotions and sentiments, and swa sannyastam maya. Experiences based upon your understanding, your thoughtfulness. All the three types of experiences are three lokas. Caught in lokas, you are always a loco. Constantly fickle-minded. And you are trapped by a dream. Spiritual sadhana is a process of awakening. But this awakening has a long process. That again, for the sake of allegorical description. But you can quicken the process by being more and more intent upon pursuing the paths with vigilance. In other words, You have adopted a sadhana style. Maintain it day by day. If you are lacking inspiration, try to revive your inspiration by intensifying your japa, your satsanga, by your upasana, abhyasa and vairagya movement, repeated practice, blended with repeated removal of illusion. How can that Brahman be described with the help of the insignificant objects of the world? Any description that you do, you give comparison. Brahman is like the sky. Well, the sky is insignificant aspect of the world. Brahman is the ocean of compassion. Well, words sound well. but Brahman has nothing to do with the ocean. And compassion, what you think of compassion is very little. It's only a word. You may talk about ocean of compassion. And within half an hour, you see someone suffering. You don't care. What happened to the whole ocean? It was grabbed by your emotion. Therefore, we call the self is beyond comparison. Anupam, atulaniya, beyond comparison. Alaukik, transcending the lokas. O Arjuna, take recourse to the medicine of nivritti to get rid of the disease of the world process. Sannyasa is the medicine. But when you talk of sannyasa, it doesn't mean that all have to be initiated into sannyasa. But it means all have to develop that internal revelation. Either you can be sannyasa with diksha or without diksha. Without having an external initiation, you can pursue the path of sannyasa and be absolutely successful. Being initiated is a ritual aspect. All are not subject to follow the exact ritual, but one way or the other. Enlightenment will not be possible unless you are following the path nivritti. Nivritti means developing a deep-rooted understanding that no matter how many things you gain in the world, that's not your final gain. All experiences of the world, they do not bring out the revelation of the self. You cannot find waking state in your entire dream world. Your dream world has to fade away completely in order for you to wake up. Though there is another stage where waking movement enters your dream state, and while dreaming, a sense enters your mind. This is a dream. The moment that sense enters, The dream situation, if it has been terrifying, that doesn't create that terror. You become relaxed. So that type of experience begins to develop if you are following and evolving on the spiritual path leading to liberation. This is what we call it, like you are waking up in degrees, little by little. When you completely awake, not a fragment of the world exists as real. Sage Vasistha said, having concluded his teachings, Sri Krishna, the Lord of the three worlds, became silent for a moment, awaiting a response from Arjuna. At this, Arjuna replied, O God, my intellect, which was afflicted with grief, is now blossoming like a lotus with the rising sun of wisdom that you have imparted to me. Arjuna ends up. Thus saying, Arjuna lifted his bow and arrow and, freed from all doubts and delusions, engaged himself in the righteous battle of the Mahabharata. This is the state of awakening, the state of sthita prajna. And at this point we have been always explaining that even in your lifetime you have to attain that. Any attainment has to be in your lifetime, not in your death time. Having attained sthita prajna, you are no longer burdened by karmas. You don't create new karmas. You simply exhaust the karma that led you to be in this embodiment, that particular karma, prarabdha. And even while exhausting your prarabdha, you are disseminating spiritual teachings. Prarabdha operates in three ways. Swecha prarabdha, parecha prarabdha, anicha prarabdha. Swecha means things occur that are delightful to you, that you like. Parecha, things occur because people around you, they persuade you to do certain things. Anicca, by act of God, suddenly a lockdown situation develops. Hurricane, earthquake. You have been in an ashram, the entire ashram gets disturbed. But in spite of all these ways, people receive enormous inspiration from saintly personality. You read the life of any saint, you will find all the three operating in them. Things go very well. They become popular, countless people admire them, etc., etc. But then, and in this process, they are led by others. Certain things they decided and they were doing. Certain things their disciples they persuade him to do. And so much work goes on because this is called parecha prarabdha. And anicca, So many challenges come. Sages suffering from different troubles, diseases, and even deaths. And all this becomes a source of inspiration for the masses. Always repeat how Christ died, how Krishna departed. Thus, it was in ancient times, during the incarnation of Lord Krishna. Vasistha says to Rama that all this he gave happened in ancient time, in the previous cycle of when there was Dwapar Yuga. And it will happen again when Dwapar Yuga comes, and will go on repeating. And thereby implies that this whole Yoga Vasistha told to Rama happened in Treta Yuga. When Treta Yuga comes again Vasistha will be there. Again Rama will be there. It shouldn't confuse you, because all souls are essentially Brahman. The soul that acted as a Rama, listening to the teachings of Vasistha, the same soul acts as Arjuna, receiving teachings from Krishna. And same soul acts as any one of you. And with this we conclude. Om. Om. Ram, 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 Ram. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om. Prayer for shower of Karunamaya Rasa grace of God over all of you with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti, Mukti. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvaruva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Amritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat.